Hello everyone and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. So I'm back for another Roscoe's recap, and this viewing party was for All Stars 9 episode 10, and the guests this week were Morphine Love Dion and Marina Summers. Today we're going to be talking about some backstage tea about Roxxxy Andrews refusing a lip sync song, Morphine spills some tea about how lip syncs are filmed on Drag Race, and I'll be talking about some recent unrelated drama to do with Elliott with 2 T's breaking her silence on the allegations against her. Plus, Kandy Muse calls out Elliott and provides screenshots of what went down in the group chat. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. So they started watching this week's episode, which was the lip sync Lollapalooza. Morphine said she loves the Lollapalooza episodes because it shows what drag queens actually do for a living, and they should do one every season. Morphine also mentioned that she won the Lollapalooza episode on season 16, and so she won $50,000. Morphine explained that she was so stressed when they filmed the Lollapalooza, and quote, "I won't lie, it was a struggle. I was going through such bad anxiety that day." And Morphine added that she took a Tylenol that day to try and get rid of her anxiety, but it quote, "didn't work." Morphine also joked that her sister, Plain Jane, did so well on season 16 and won 4 challenges, but, quote, "in the end, I won more money than she did," and everyone laughed. They then watched some more lip syncs from the episode, and Naysha asked if this is still the case on lip syncs, but on her season, what they did was, before the lip sync, they played a loud noise, and then there were 3 or 4 beeps, and this acts as a countdown and a cue so the queens know when the music will start. Morphine joked that she wasn't sure if she's allowed to talk about that sort of thing to do with production, but she did confirm that they still do play a cue for the music. And she gave the example of when she lip-synced against Saphira for the win in episode 10, and they lip-synced to the song Made You Look by Meghan Trainor. And that song doesn't really have an intro and just starts straight away, so you need a cue so that you know exactly when the song is going to start, otherwise you'd miss the first line. Naysha also added that they usually play about 10 seconds of the song first, so they can check the volume and that the sound system is working okay before they do the actual lip sync. They then watched the lip sync between Roxxxy and Juiciest to the song Holding Out for a Hero by Bonnie Tyler. They then asked who they thought won the lip sync. Morphine said she thinks Roxxxy won, and although she doesn't think Juiciest did badly, she felt that Juiciest's energy was doing another song, and she added, quote, "it's like she was doing Ava Max and Roxxxy was doing the actual song." Naysha agreed and said this lip sync was so representative of old school versus new school, and that one is performing the song, the other is embodying the song, is feeling it, is making you feel it. Naysha also added that the tricks and splits are, quote, "sickening," and George's is on a whole nother level. But Roxxxy was making you feel that song and coming through the screen, and it just shows that you don't need to do all the tricks and stunts to win a lip sync. They also brought up that Roxxxy chose the song Holding Out for a Hero because it was a tribute to her late drag grandmother who performed that song at Miss Gay US of A. They then brought up another performer named Tandy Iman Dupree, who also performed this song in 2001 at the Miss Gay Black America pageant, and her entrance involved her falling from the ceiling, and she even broke the heel of her shoe in the process. And this clip went viral a few years later and became an iconic performance. Here's a quick clip of it. You may also remember that on season 13, Tamisha Iman mentioned that Tandy was one of her drag children and she sadly passed away in 2005. But going back to Roscoe's, and they then moved on, and Naysha brought up that on season 16, Morphine had said that she knew Maya Iman LePage from before and she had seen her perform and she'd, quote, given her $1. But Morphine admitted that that was a lie and she actually had never seen Maya perform before, and everyone laughed. They were then about to watch the lip sync between Roxxxy and Angeria to Groove Is in the Heart, and they asked who they thought would win. Batty Davis then said, quote, "It just depends if you're going to pull a Plastique and point during the rap." And this was presumably a reference to episode 5, when Roxxxy and Plastique lip synced to Super Freaky Girl by Nicki Minaj, and many people commented that Plastique didn't seem to know the words, and during the rap part, Plastique just pointed at Roxxxy. But when Batty mentioned Plastique pointing at Roxxxy, Morphine said, quote, "I hate that, learn the rap part." Morphine then brought up the Lollapalooza on season 16, when Morphine lip-synced against Megami to Gonna Make You Sweat, Everybody Dance Now by C&C Music Factory. And during the rap part, Megami brought out a, quote, "dumb-ass puppet," and the camera focused on her, whereas Morphine said she knew every word. But Morphine said that later in a live video, Megami admitted that she didn't know the words to the song, which is why she decided to use the hand puppet. Nasia then asked Morphine how it worked with the songs for the Lollapalooza, and did they send them a bunch of 20 songs to learn, or did they just send them the 9 songs that they needed for the Lollapalooza? Morphine said that after they finished filming the season, they sent them the list of all the songs that they needed to learn, and it was the full versions of the songs. But then when the queens got given the iPods with the songs on them, the songs had been cut down to the version that we heard in the episode. Morphine then joked and said, quote, "I learned every single one. I learned the whole rap part. I did my homework and my job, unlike some other girls in my season." Nasia then spilled some tea about the songs for the lip sync assassins on All Stars. Apparently there was one queen who was going to be a lip sync assassin, and they sent her the song to learn for the lip sync. But the queen refused and said she would not do that song because it would, quote, "get her together," so she flat out refused to do that song. So the producers apparently asked her what song she would like to do instead, and the queen told them, and this is the song they ended up doing in the episode. Nasia didn't say the name of the queen at first, and then she said, quote, "It was so fierce and it was so sickening, and I'm proud of you, Roxxxy, for doing that." And everyone laughed and clapped. And then Nasia added that the producers then gave that song that Roxxxy didn't want to Cameron Michaels instead when she was a lip sync assassin. This is presumably a reference to when Roxxxy was a lip sync assassin on All Stars 5 episode 3, and she lip synced against Miss Cracker to the song One Last Time by Ariana Grande. Nasia also said that the song was then given to Cameron Michaels. However, Cameron appeared as a lip-sync assassin on All Stars 6, episode 9, and lip-synced against Raja O'Hara. So, from what Nasia has said, they must have kept that song for quite a long time before they gave it to someone else. And that song was Boom Clap by Charlie XCX, and Charlie XCX was a guest judge on that week's episode. So, it's presumed that the song they tried to give Roxxxy on All Stars 5 was this song, but she refused, so they must have kept it for All Stars 6 and given it to Cameron. And this does somewhat make sense because I seem to remember that when this lip sync between Raja and Cameron came out, most people online criticised the song choice and said it was a bad choice and that it didn't give the queens a chance to really show off their lip syncing skills. Cameron even took to Instagram shortly after it aired to vent her frustration, and she posted saying, "The longer I try to act like it never happened, the longer it's going to take me to get over it. I am going to share my images only because the photographer and the designer deserve recognition for their work. I am hurt, disgusted, and devastated by the entire situation. Call me dramatic, I don't give an F. Every girl looks forward to coming back and having their moment to shine. I feel cheated, and worst of all, I said yes and agreed to it, which is something I have to deal with now and will take me a very long time to get over. If I could go back in time, I never would have stepped foot on that stage. I know my worth and my talent, and I feel like I was used for some quick, cheap storyline. Some queens are comedians, some are models, and some are performers. I am a performer through and through, so to to have the one thing I'm actually good at be tainted like this hurts my heart so much. So again, I'll be sharing the looks strictly for those involved in the photo shoot. If it were up to me, they would never see the light of day. All my comments and messages will remain off until I'm back in a good spirits. And F that stupid song. And so it seems that this is probably why Roxxxy refused to do that song originally, because she knew it wouldn't get a good reaction, and so Cameron got it instead. But I thought this was an interesting piece of backstage tea and does put it into context why Cameron responded the way she did. They then moved on and they were talking about their achievements in drag, and Caramel mentioned that Marina has become a bit of a pop star. Marina explained that she performed the opening number at the Miss Universe Philippines pageant in 2024, and she sung her song I'm a Filipina, which is the song that she also performed on UK vs the World 2 for her talent show. Marina has subsequently said that it's been her dream to be on Miss Universe ever since she was a child, and that she got to fulfill her lifelong dream. And at Roscoe's, she explained that Miss Universe is a big deal in the Philippines, so it was great to represent her country like that. Naysha said that Miss Universe is a big deal in many countries, and it's a huge accomplishment. And Naysha believes Marina is the first drag queen to ever be on Miss Universe, which is great representation, and everyone clapped and cheered for Marina. And finally, they moved on to the Q&A, and an audience member asked if Roscoe's has ever asked RuPaul or Michelle Visage to appear at Roscoe's as a guest. Naysha said she thinks Michelle has been a guest at an event once, and then Sean, who I believe is the manager of Roscoe's, came on the microphone off screen and said that Michelle used to come for some of the charity competitions as well as her book release and several other things, but then her schedule got really busy. Sean then said that with RuPaul, 15 years ago, he used to charge $75,000 just to walk in the door, not even in drag. And so Sean said, quote, "So I can't even imagine how much he is now." And that was it for Roscoe's, because not a huge amount happened in the episode. So now I'm going to move on to a little bit of drama that happened this week to do with Elliott with 2 T's. As many of you will know, and I have talked about this in previous videos, Season 13 contestant Elliott with 2 T's has been involved in quite a lot of controversies since her time on the show. And this has included her fellow castmates such as Kandy Muse, Gottmik and Simone accusing Elliott of using racist and transphobic language both on set and after the show was filmed. Elliott has mostly stayed silent about these controversies and has only addressed them in passing. However, Elliott recently appeared in an interview with YouTuber Joseph Shepherd and addressed these allegations. I won't go through everything that was said in the interview, but I'll just go through a couple of the main things that were discussed. So they started off and Joseph said that Elliott actually reached out to him directly because Elliott wanted to come on Joseph's channel and do an interview so she could address the allegations against her and tell her side of the story. In the interview, they went through some of the main allegations that have been made against Elliott by her castmates, and they even watched some of the video clips of the queens who made these allegations. Elliott said that she didn't really feel very welcomed by most of the cast on season 13, and the only people she has stayed in touch with are Tamisha Iman and Kimora Hall. Joseph showed Elliott a few past social media posts that she had posted that she got criticised for, including one where she posted a car with a license plate that said Trump. And people took this to mean that Elliott is a Trump supporter. But Elliott said she hates Trump and it was just supposed to be a joke, and she thinks that this post may have been before Trump was even running for president. There were also 2 other social media posts, one where Elliott called Caitlyn Jenner Bruce, which people took as dead naming a trans person, and another where she said, "I'm telling you, they cannot sell Black Barbie to anyone." Elliott said these tweets were from at least 10 years ago, and she was just trying to be funny and get attention and was being dumb, and she never meant to offend anyone. They then talked about the comments that Elliott had made about season 13 winner Simone, where she said in a previous video that Simone's drag wasn't, quote, aggressive, and people criticised Elliott because the word aggressive is often used as a stereotype against people of colour. Elliott said that she didn't mean it in that way, and they then listened to Simone and Kandy when they were asked about this in an interview, and they said that Elliott hadn't taken accountability for what she said. Elliott said that she had texted Simone many times about this situation, but Simone apparently never responded. And Elliott thinks that Simone knew that Elliott's words had been misinterpreted, but Simone didn't reply back to Elliott. They then watched the clip where Gottmik said on the podcast No Gorge that another queen on the season had used transphobic language on set, including the T slur, which is an offensive term for trans people. And this queen also used some racist language towards several of the POC queens. Although Gottmik didn't name the queen, in the comments on the original TikTok video, Kandy Muse said it was Elliott. Elliott said she would never use the T slur and that she knew none of this until the podcast episode came out, and Gottmik never brought any of this up to Elliott. And Elliott said that she would never want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. Apparently Gottmik was always nice to Elliott, and they even talked at DragCon and they were kikiing. And when Elliott then texted Gottmik about the podcast episode because she was surprised that Gottmik had said all of this, Gottmik apparently didn't give a reason as to why they said this and just said, quote, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know." They then watched a clip of an Instagram live video that Kandy Muse posted where she said that Elliott had called her things like, quote, ghetto, and Elliott had apparently described Simone's do-rag look on season 13 as being, quote, ratchet. Elliott said she didn't know that those words were offensive and claimed that no one ever called her out about it. And she said that she was uneducated about these sorts of issues, but people should look at her intention and see that she didn't mean it in an offensive way. And Elliott claimed none of her castmates ever confronted her about this, so how was she supposed to know? There was also a lot more that was said in the interview, so you should definitely go and check out the full thing on Joseph's channel, and I'll put a link to it in the description. And in general, some people applauded Elliott for doing this interview and for addressing the controversy. But overall, the interview was not very well received by most people, and the comments on YouTube as well as the comments on wider social media were quite negative, with people saying that Elliott was not taking accountability for her actions, was giving lots of excuses, and had not apologised. After the interview came out, Kandy Muse seemingly responded to it on Twitter across several posts. The first post said, "Going on a podcast and asking for an interview 4 years later to make yourself the victim and still not take accountability for the bleep you said and did on set is whack. Joseph, take the L on that whack ass interview. No one told me anything. Babes, there's literal footage of me calling you out in Untucked. Enough with this topic, I'm done beating a dead horse." This was then followed up by another tweet that said, "And since you want to talk about no one called you out, baby, don't even try it, and even after your ass blocked me, I still made sure you were included in the group photo at DragCon. That victim complex is dangerous." Along with this tweet, Kandy also posted several screenshots of the season 13 group chat, where Elliott had posted a link to a previous interview she did with the NAACP, which is the National Association for the Advancement of Coloured People. And in this interview, Elliott had discussed the accusations of racism. And in the group chat, Elliott had said, "If y'all could share, that'd be great." However, in the screenshots, we can see that Kandy replied saying, "Elliott, you haven't reached out to anyone that you've offended on set and or off, not to explain yourself or apologise to your castmates or your fans. I watched the video and you didn't own up to anything, you didn't apologise about anything. I will absolutely not be sharing this video. When you own up to calling me ghetto, Simone Ratchet, using AAVE, which means African American Vernacular English, on set around POCs, and asking some of our castmates what genitals Mick has, you have lost your mind. There is no sense of accountability. I'm not sharing a video where your friends validate your mistakes." It then appeared that Elliott had left the group chat and also blocked Kandy on Twitter. Since the interview has come out, Elliott was reached out to by Out magazine for comment, and Elliott said, "By doing this interview, I've taken accountability by addressing everything head on, and I want to rise above this. It's not about being a victim. I've been the target of hate and abuse for too long. This is something that has deeply affected me, and I just want to use my platform to spread love and kindness. At this point, I've apologised to the best of my abilities and even taken steps to educate myself. Every story has three sides: my side, their side, and the truth. I genuinely want to move past this. I am not racist or transphobic, and I do not have the ability to be so in my heart. I wish Kandy all the best, and I forgive her for all the hurt she caused me. However, my name is spelled Elliott with 2 T's. There are no K's in my name." And just in case you don't understand that last part of the quote, this is presumably a reference to the fact that since the accusations of racism came out against Elliott, instead of people calling her Elliott with 2 T's, people started calling her Elliott with 3 K's, as an apparent reference to the KKK or the Ku Klux Klan, which is a white supremacist far-right organisation. But Elliott and Kandy have not said any more about the situation as of yet, so we'll have to see if there are any more developments about this. And this whole situation is of course very highly charged, so please remember to respect all of the queens involved on all sides. And remember that it's never okay to send hate to anyone involved. Please just consume this news passively. Thank you. So there you go, there was the Roscoe's recap for All Stars 9 episode 10. Are you excited for the finale of All Stars 9? And who do you think will take the crown? Let me know in the comments. And if you'd like to get early access to my videos as well as have your comments featured in my Have Your Say videos, please check out my Patreon and consider supporting me. It goes such a long way to helping support my channel and I really appreciate it. And I'll put a link to my Patreon in the description. I'd also like to say a massive thank you to all of my Patreon members who are amazing and support me every month. Thank you so much for being part of my Patreon. I really appreciate it and I really do love my Patreon community. You are all legends. If you liked this video, please remember to like and comment on the video to help tell the algorithm that this is a great video, and make sure you hit the subscribe button because it really does make such a big difference to my channel. Thank you for watching and I hope you'll join me again in future videos. Thank you, bye!